We'll see if this works, because I'm not seeing a stream on my screen. Oh, there it is. Oh, something's changing. Oh, wow. First time I've ever used this live setting. Why is there no picture? Oh, God. Oh, there it is. Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. Live TV, folks. It's a beautiful thing. Oh, my God. It's the first time I've ever used, like, the new live stream function on YouTube, and I feel like I just jumped off a cliff. That was terrifying. But we're here now. I think we're here. Can y'all hear the sound of my voice? Are we here right now? Holy Jesus. Welcome, everybody. This is the return of the Smackdown review live. And new graphics, in case you couldn't tell. Thank you very much, Izzy, for the new lower thirds, which you've been seeing all week on the Raw review, Wednesday Warfare, and, of course, here we are now. So thank you, Izzy, for that. The brand new look to coincide with my return here to live. Lots to talk about with this episode. It is the Friday, September 11th, 2020 episode of Smackdown. And so lots to cover here. We're just going to dive right into it. Thank you so much for coming and tuning in as I fumble my way through this brand new setup. This whole new studio thing's terrifying to me. I was like a very late adapter. I was like, no, I want to do the classic. Just keep me with the classic format. It's the one that I know. And now I'm being forced to dive into this one head first. So SmackDown begins with a recap of Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman explaining their actions at Payback. And we see Jey Uso becoming the new #1 contender for the Universal Championship for Clash of Champions. Roman and Paul Heyman open the show. This is the first time I've seen Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman on SmackDown in the Thunderdome, and it's so odd to hear people booing Roman's entrance, and it just seems so inorganic. Like, no, the one time that we want this, and now it just sounds so, it doesn't feel earned anymore. That's the one downside of the Thunderdome. I also love that Roman's new nickname is the Tribal Chief, as Paul Heyman calls him, and when Roman says this is his island, I love it. It works. It's great. Heyman puts over Jey Uso's performance last week, introduces Jey to the ringside area, and Jey thanks Heyman for giving him the chance last week, and Heyman goes, no, it was all Roman's idea, which, according to the Hype package, goes against what Roman said to Jey, where it said it was Heyman's idea. So, they didn't really touch on that. And I don't know if it's something that's going to be elaborated on later, or if it's just something that, you know how things are in business. So Heyman says it was all Roman's idea instead. So Roman puts over Jey as well, says he earned his shot, but at the end of the day, he's still going to whoop his ass at Clash of Champions, and it's all love. And Jey says, it's different now. He's kind of like, I don't know, he's hesitant. It's like, I love the reactions here from Jey's reaction to Roman. He doesn't know what to make of him now, this newfangled Roman Reigns. So I love where this is going with this, and we'll get to more of it later. King Corbin shows up. He calls shenanigans, nepotism. There's no room for that shit in wrestling, says King Corbin in so many words. Sheamus then shows up, and I forget that he's adopted the new kind of bar hooligan thing he's got going on now versus the bar fight with Jeff Hardy. That's a weird look for me to kind of get behind. I don't know if this or Cockroach King Sheamus is better. So Sheamus agrees with Corbin. And as he's talking, though, his promo, his register goes higher and higher. I mean, can you believe this, fella? I just can't believe what Roman Reigns is doing, fella. He's there. Helium in the Thunderdome. Helium in the Thunderdome. His voice is going higher and higher. So then Jey basically cuts him off and says, he wants to challenge Sheamus and Corbin to a tag team match with Roman on his side. He says, we can call ourselves the Blood. We'll call you Butt Mud. Ugh. And so then Jey single-handedly takes out Sheamus and Corbin here in the post-promo scrum. And Roman doesn't move an inch. He doesn't even do anything. He just stands there and stares at everything that's going on. He's so stoic. Ooh, I love this new Roman Reigns now. He's everything. He's every bit of cool that we wanted him to be from the beginning. And it only took a pandemic to get there. But we're finally there now. And I'm really enjoying where we're going with this now. What is this? I'm seeing just in the chats right now. Excuse me for one moment. I'm just going to put you in timeout for dropping ellipses over and over again. There's no room for ellipses by themselves in the fucking SmackDown review chat. So, like I said, very intrigued by the angle. We then see Sami Zayn in the production truck, very pissed at the matchup graphic for AJ versus Jeff Hardy in the rematch, because he's the rightful Intercontinental Champion, and he accidentally, cuts to commercial break. I like when they do that stuff. So our next match is for the IC title, allegedly. Jeff Hardy defending against AJ Styles, a rematch from 3 weeks ago when Hefe won the belt. Hefe Hardy. Jeff Harvey. Jeff is wearing some patriotic face paint in honor of the 9/11 anniversary. Sami Zayn shows up before the bell rings and complains some more, saying this is not right, this is not fair. He is the rightful champion, because he won the belt fair and square at Elimination Chamber, defended it at WrestleMania. He took a couple months off, but the belt's still his. He's the rightful champion. So this belt's not for the champion. He says they created a sham champion. A champion, if you will. That's what they should be starting. He should use the word champion to elaborate how much of a sham this champion is. So Adam Pearce shows up, who's the de facto authority figure as of late in the Thunderdome, and tells him to leave. We have our match with Jeff and AJ, and it's a pretty good match. Starts out with AJ kind of jumping Jeff from behind, but Jeff goes for the swanton right away, and he whiffs it. The match continues, and then ultimately at the end, Sami Zayn pops back up, and he attacks both men, and he hits the haluva kick on Jeff. After the bell rings and everything, match is thrown out. Sami stands tall, and then I will say that I do like this angle with Sami. I was very vocal in my dislike of them stripping the belt off Sami Zayn when he didn't show up because of the health concerns and everything. I thought it was unfair. I got why they did it. I got why they stripped the belt off him, because he wasn't going to come back for some long period of time. But I still felt kind of like he was wronged. Like he'd been there so long, and for him to finally get this championship and for him to have it stripped the way it was, that was pretty unfair. But the way they're bringing it back now, and they're kind of setting up this real IC champ gimmick, I think that's brilliant. I didn't think they were going to do that, but they did it. And so we see it's affecting both Hardy and AJ. AJ's still involved in this thing, because we see in the trainer's room afterward, well, after the match, Jeff Hardy collapses, like his dehydration. I thought that was a wrinkle they added for the sake of nothing. I thought it was kind of like why they bothered doing that. But he's in the trainer's room, and AJ Styles is hopping mad. He talks to the interview lady, saying, he wants to prove that he is the true IC champion. It's madness what's going on with Sami and Jeff. And then also we see later on, it's a quick cutaway, Sami barges into the trainer's room, and he and Jeff Hardy has fight. Meanwhile, but I will say I do like that thread, and I think that what they're doing is very compelling. Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura, the Smackdown Tag Champs, are in their perpetual permanent champions lounge. I don't buy Cesaro and Shinsuke as like partiers, like on the level of like, that's the kind of setting for like MVP or for the Street Profits or for Ric Flair or something, a champions lounge with the champagne and everything. I don't buy that for Cesaro. I don't believe that Cesaro drinks alcohol in any form or fashion. You don't get abs like that. You don't get a physique like his drinking champagne every Friday night. I'm just saying. So Cesaro, they're hanging out in the Champions Lounge. The Street Profits show up, the Raw Tag Team Champions, to further promote their Champs versus Champs match on Raw next week. Oh God, I'll tell you about In Your Face Raw in a second. But the SmackDown Champs have to leave for their match, and they tell the Street Profits, don't touch anything. Don't break anything. So we go to that match now. Cesaro and Shinsuke versus Lucha House Party, Kalisto and Grand Metalik variant. There's a pre-match promo, which I thought was very interesting, where Kalisto considers himself the leader of Lucha House Party, and there's some very visible body language where Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado don't agree with that, per se. I'm wondering where that's going to end up. That was very interesting. The match itself doesn't last very long, however, because as they're wrestling, the Street Profits show up, and you see them on screen in the Champions Lounge, and a whole party's broken out there. It's a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of extras are there hanging out, and the distraction's enough for Shinsuke to get rolled up, allowing Lucha House Party to win. Not much of a match, and I always hate this when like you're building up a big match of this caliber, and right beforehand you have one of the sides lose. Like, unless you have the Street Profits lose as well, like, so they're on equal footing, don't have the SmackDown Champs lose. I mean, okay, it's probably going to telegraph like Cesaro and Shinsuke winning next week, or it's going to make them look really dumb if they lose next week. So I hate when that happens. I think if you want to build a good match, you have two winners facing each other. And like, I know that the build is short-lived, but like, make them look good. That's all I'm freaking saying. We go to our next. One more thing I will say on that segment. I've said it once and I'll say it again. Cesaro's 3D green sprites in his intro are fantastic. Bayley comes out next and she breaks her silence. Last week, God, I take a break for 2 weeks and all the good shit happens when I'm gone. Roman Reigns comes back and he becomes the Universal Champion. He's a heel now. Joined with Paul Heyman. Bayley finally turns on Sasha. It's craziness. I leave for 2 weeks and all the cool stuff happens. So Bayley comes out with the chair that she used to Pillmanize Sasha's neck, and she does the serious Kevin Owens promo. Because all this did was remind me of when Kevin Owens did a very similar promo right after Festival of Friendship, where he's sitting on the chair, there's the spotlight on him. We didn't get the spotlight here, but it was the same one where she's like sitting there very stoic, very, very brooding and moody, and on the chair. And talks about, no one's asking Bayley how she feels about all this. And she says, I loved what I did to my best friend Sasha. And the whole exposition, the villain exposition was so brilliant here. She said she knew what Sasha was up to all along. And that Sasha was just using Bayley to get ahead. And the only reason she knows that was because she was using Sasha too. Oh, the deception. Sasha's useless to her now. And she lays it all out in black and white, plain as day. I thought this was a terrific promo. Probably the best promo Bayley's ever done, as a face or a heel, and I think it plays perfectly into this narrative that's so long-lasting. It's been perpetuated for so long by Corey Graves on commentary, for example, how Sasha has a history of betraying her partners and just being a bad friend. Only now it gets turned on its ear because when Bayley does it, because she knew what Sasha was capable of doing, but now there's this revelation that she is just as dark and twisted and selfish as she believed Sasha to be. And so that kind of justification, I think that's really, really smart stuff. And I think it was just, it happens when I'm gone, when I'm not reviewing it, but I'm really glad that this turn finally happened. It's something that we've been wanting for a long time, and I think they did it in a really, really smart way from what I watched last week and what they did tonight. It's good stuff so far. Nikki Cross comes out after Bayley's done with her promo for her number one contenders match next. Bayley dinks her with the chair before commercial break. And we come back, and Alexa's checking on her. Nikki's good to go. We have the number one contendership match now. You've got Nikki, Lacey Evans, Tamina, and Alexa Bliss in the four-way for the number one contendership. Still no Naomi. Fine, no Naomi. As the match goes on, a few minutes in, on the outside, Alexa hits Nikki with Sister Abigail, and then they immediately cut to break. Like, why would you do that? Why in the midst of this giant twist or this really big move, which by the way they've been kind of building up to, because like in the last couple of weeks, like Alexa's been acting different around Nikki Cross and everything. So this is finally like the triggers being pulled on this. Alexa has turned on Nikki with the Fiend's finishing move. And then she kind of walks out of the match in a trance, as it were. She's no longer a factor in this match. Well, I hope you fans can shut up now, because you finally have your Sister Abigail. I hope you all like disappointment, because nothing WWE is going to do is going to come close to your fantasy booking for Sister Abigail. Just letting you know right now. Nikki is somehow still in this match, though. And it's mostly between Tamina and Lacey, and Nikki occasionally bops back in after she's done selling to show that she's still involved in this matchup here. And what ends up happening is Lacey hits the woman's right, Nikki hits Lacey with the neck breaker off the ropes, stacks Tamina up to win the match. She didn't even use a finisher on Tamina. She just rolled her up, and that's all it took. Poor Tamina. So Nikki gets another shot at the Smackdown women's title at Clash of Champions. I'm very intrigued by the story of Alexa becoming like a servant of the Fiend. I wonder if this is going to continue in that championship match, because I would imagine Sasha's going to be out for a while, so we're not going to see any kind of like almost retribution, no pun intended, to the militant activist group with the same name on Raw right now. But we're not going to see Sasha's payback for a while. There's another branded reference I just made. Jesus, they own all of the fighting words. I can't win here. So we'll see where it goes. We see another sexy mystery lady vignette. We saw some last week, some legs. Now we see some more legs and a back and some hair, some wavy blonde hair. Who could it be? Who could the sexy mystery lady be? Place your bets. It could be Chelsea Green. Maybe it's Emelina again. You don't know that. Our next match sees the continuing story of Otis versus John Morrison. Miz and Morrison are in their never-ending quest to rob Otis of his contractually, or his perfectly cleanly won Money in the Bank briefcase, because he doesn't deserve it according to them. Last week they tried to steal it, and it turns out Otis's lunch was inside the briefcase. So now Otis has got... What a downgrade. I just realized what a shitty downgrade that is. Brock had the Brock box. He had a boom box made from the briefcase. Didn't do shit with his gimmick. Had nothing to do with it. but they still did it. It was over as hell. Otis gets, I mean, it is on brand for a lunchbox, but it's a bit of a downgrade from a boombox, is all I'm saying. So we have this singles match here. As the match goes on, Morrison hands the lunchbox off to The Miz, who sprints the back with it. And then Otis flattens Morrison, the former Lucha Underground and Impact World Champion, to win the match. And so these guys, they're going to fight forever, it seems. And then backstage, we see Otis revealing, in kind of a clunky way, where he has a hard time opening up the briefcase, to reveal another lunchbox is inside. So now Otis has he's paid for 2 custom Money in the Bank lunchboxes. One is a decoy. Otis is far brighter than we gave him credit for. So the contract is in the second lunchbox, and there's more lunch in the actual lunchbox. At least Miz and Morrison are hilarious, and I love their comedic timing. We go to somebody in the comments says it's Mae Young is the mystery lady. We then go to our Firefly Fun House. We've been promised a new character will debut for the Fun House here. Bray says that when you accept loss, it defines the person you become. And we get the less you know graphic underneath, which I popped for. I used to work at an NBC affiliate. I love that thing. Bray welcomes a new friend, and it's Esquale the Persevering Parrot, which is a great name. But he opens the box. There's no parrot, and so he looks at the box. It's dead. We cut to technical difficulties. The timing of this has just been brilliant. And so as he's going and dealing with that, out comes the boss puppet, the Vincent McMahon Devil puppet, who says he can't handle the responsibility of the Funhouse, pal. And so if he can't handle this, he's fine. And then, so Bray says, what can I do to make it up for you? And so the Vince puppet introduces the special advisor, Wobbly Walrus, who is very much in the image of Paul Heyman, which is clearly Bray taking a dig at Roman and Paul here. The Vince puppet says it's good shit. Bray looks to be in a bind. Womp womp. I have no idea where this is going, but I was very entertained by this episode of Firefly Funhouse. I think that it was, again, having been away from it for a couple weeks, coming back to it, and it's like, oh man, it feels like, this is entertaining again. I'm really wondering where the Wobbly Walrus is going to come into play here. Is Bray a face now or a heel? I don't get it. Because The Fiend's not a face. Like, I can't buy The Fiend as a baby face in any capacity. Maybe as a lesser of two evils, we'll see. But yeah, I think the Fiend right now is in a very curious place. I think he can kind of play both. Like, Bray, Funhouse Bray, is a clear babyface because he's hilarious. And he'll occasionally go into that dark place. But, Fiend Bray, I think he's unequivocally a heel. And you can't mess with that, I don't think. Our main event is King Corbin and Sheamus versus Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. And this starts out kind of a 2-on-1 thing. Jey is the first one to come out, and he's on his own fighting Sheamus and Corbin. I thought it was going to be a very similar thing to The Rock, because for a while, like in the year 2000, The Rock was known for like always coming in last in a tag team match, running in, making the save, boom, boom, spit, punch. We don't really get that, though, because it's basically 2-on-1 for a while. Jey's getting beat down. Sheamus looks to have things in order. When out comes Roman Reigns, his music finally plays, takes his sweet-ass time getting into the ring, and as he makes his way to the corner, Jey is finally coming back, goes for his trademark splash, but as he's doing that, Roman just very calmly, I like this, the laissez-faire soft blind tag to Jey there. And so Jey hits the splash, doesn't realize he's not the legal man anymore. Roman comes in, hits the spear on Sheamus, and just wins. He wrecks everyone and leaves, like his shirt says. And then that's how the match ends. They pose at the top of the ramp. Jey raises his cousin's hand, the same hand that's holding the big blue belt, and Roman shoots him this very quizzical, kind of like, what are you doing touching my goodies look on Roman's face as we fade to black. And yeah, God, that look that he shot there was just so perfect. And you just know shit's going to go down at some point here. That turn where he finally beats up his cousin Jey in cold blood, it's going to happen. And like, God, I can't wait for it to happen now. It's like, it is really the pride of SmackDown right now, I think, is Roman Reigns. I know, yeah, let's talk, before I go into the grade though, let's talk about Raw in Your Face. That's the new... Why? It's like, it's not enough to theme your pay-per-views. You have to theme your episodes now of Raw? Like, we had SmackDown Extreme many years ago, and I thought that would be the end of it. No, we're going to have Raw in Your Face. And clearly somebody watched my XWF review because they just took the XWF's tagline, which wasn't that good to begin with when they did it. It was not it was not very good then. And so they're gonna do it again. Raw in Your Face. Why the taglines? I guess because, like, they gotta find some way to keep people watching, but I feel that taglines aren't enough. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they'll do something where, like, maybe they're just gonna mail all the fans. I only say this because I just got my eyes dilated today. I was at an eye doctor appointment, so they had them dilated. And you know, if you have your eyes dilated, you have to look either really close at something or super far away to see it. So you literally have to, like, they'll make you dilate your eyes, and you have to get right up to your screen like this, so you can see all the action in your face. That's got to be what it is, right? Either that or they're going to mail 3D glasses. I don't know what the fuck's going on. But let's just move on. let's enough of that hypothesis, and get the fuck away, computer pop-up. I'm not going to get Norton. And show you the grade for this show, in my opinion. I give it a B. I think it's a pretty solid show. I think SmackDown's really come into its own the last couple of weeks. I love what they're doing with Roman and Jey Uso. I loved Bayley's promo. I loved the Firefly Funhouse. The only thing I didn't like about this show was just, again, seeing Cesaro and Shinsuke get jobbatized the way they did by Lucha House Party on the cusp with days to go before their champion versus champion match. I don't think that's not very in your face to have the champions lose in such a way, even though it was non-title. So there we go. That was my thoughts on SmackDown this week. I think that, unlike my return to Raw this week, I think that SmackDown was pretty darn good. I wish they had better matches and just, more conclusive matches. Nothing wrestling-wise stuck out to me this week. It was all promos, all characters, all stories. The shit that I like in AEW that everyone makes dogs on me for liking AEW more than NXT. This is why, because I like characters and stories. And SmackDown right now has got a good bunch of characters and stories. Let's see here. Yeah, Raw in your face on an LCD display screen. Yeah, if anything, it's our face on Raw, not Raw in our face. That's not how it works. Let's go now to... I'm losing my mind over this. Let's go to the Super Chats. As promised, we got some Super Chats here. Rodney Gordon with a $2.99 Super Chat. Message redacted. Okay, cool. He follows up with another $40.99 Super Chat saying, "Hey Brian, glad you're doing better. Do you have any advice to any up-and-coming indie wrestlers? Also, shout out my Twitter at MCRodley." There you go, Rodney. As far as advice to indie wrestlers go, the short answer is check out my Getting Into the Biz playlist. I've not updated it in forever, but I think a lot of the advice there is kind of evergreen. Getting Into the Biz, it's my video series on my tips on people who are just starting out in wrestling, who want to get into wrestling or other kind of roles besides wrestling. To talk about, hey, here's some etiquette, here's some things you should expect, here's some things that they expect of you, that sort of thing. The quickest advice I can give to someone who wants to be an indie wrestler is go in with, your eyes and your ears open and your mouth shut. Invest in yourself physically. Go to a gym. Get a gym membership. Work on your cardio above all else. The weight and the mass will come with time, but what's more important than anything is just having good cardio so you can withstand the rigors of running the ropes and taking the bumps and getting up and all that shit, because that's the most important thing. Kevin Owens, probably a cardio machine, even though he's a bit overweight. Buddy Rose, he was a huge cardio guy. Samoa Joe, big into cardio, but they had the extra pounds and stuff, but they made it work and it fit them. So yeah, that's the biggest thing I could recommend for advice, is just get in shape and go in with an open mind and listen to the advice of your trainers. Find a credible wrestling school as well. Find one that was legitimate, not in somebody's backyard, look at the pedigree, not just the trainer, but the people they have trained and how much work they're getting. Timothy Thatcher, for example, old T Thatcher at NXT. He came from humble beginnings at Supreme Pro Wrestling School, which, the trainers, they never worked for WWE, but the people they have trained have worked for big companies and have gotten tryouts and have gotten signed. So Supreme Pro Wrestling in Sacramento, California is an example of a school. If you're in that area. Stoner U in the Bay Area in Oakland. God, they've already produced Shotzi Blackheart and Mansoor, in their short time in school, as running a school, they've already produced two people who've already been signed, and they're doing great. So, so check out the schools in your area, find what's right for you. That's basically my best advice. Moving on. Inigo Montoya, $4.99 Super Chat. El Generico would be very upset if he knew how one of his orphans, Sami Zayn, was acting on SmackDown. Hopefully he does better with other orphans. I just want to say, the one disappointing thing is that Sami Zayn should get a haircut, you know? I know it's a pandemic and all, but come on, guy. I've had my haircut a few times. It's great. It's fine. Do it. I would go crazy. I would go insane if my hair had been untouched since the pandemic. That's what, 6 months of not grow. Oh my God. It would be out to here. My hair doesn't grow long down, it grows long out. And some of you might have seen like some of the more extreme times where I let my hair go, and there's pictures out there as well when I was younger. I let the hair grow. I hate it that way now. If it gets anything longer than like here, I lose my shit. I gotta get it cut. So I don't know where I quit to that. Real JHTVHD with $2 super chat. Raw stole XWF's in your face. That's messed up. Yes, it is. Inigo's back with $4.99 super chat. We're going in raw, in your face. Vince, that sounds really wrong. Don't care, we're going raw. We're going in raw. We're going to steal Steven Larson's gimmick, pal. We're going in raw, and we're gonna explode everywhere in your face. Vince, what are you doing? I with the pyro, pal, the pyro. Ken terminated by DQ, $5 super chat. Zane, did you make any references to your XWF review? Yes, I did. Yes, I just did. All we need now, though, is the Wall and Jimmy Snuka and Johnny Stamboli to be cutting promos, like shitty 15 frames per second promos on a green screen about XWF in your face. I can't look at this last one because it's being blocked by the scroll button. I have to... Oh my God, why are the scrolls on this player so shit? Trakes with 4 X's, $5 super chat. Take this, my love, my anger, and 5 of my dollars. Is that a reference to something? Is that a reference to an anime show I'm not aware of? I don't know. Yeah. Jewish afros are a thing. Remember Zoe 101? No, I don't. What is that? But no, Jewish afros are definitely a thing. Although my hair isn't curly. It's wavy. So you don't get the tight curls and stuff when I grow my hair out. It's just this big wad of wavy hair that you can't do anything with. Like, I tried. When I was wrestling, I would, like, just put gobs of gel on it, like, slick it back. But, like, when it dries, it literally just grows back like this. But now it's just backwards. It's just so bad. So, I have to keep it short. Like, when I started getting, like, my crew cuts with the fade and everything this last year, when I started, like, working Ring of Honor, it's like, I have to keep this look. This has to be the professional look now. So, thoughts on Ross taking a break from Cultaholic? You know, I wish him the best. I think that everyone deserves a break now and then. I certainly took one. And, you know, Ross needs to take a break for his mental health. And all the love and support in the world comes from me to Ross. I think he's a great guy. And, you know, YouTube's a strenuous job. Doing full-time YouTube, and I don't think people realize how much of a grind it can be, not just from a working standpoint and producing content on a regular basis, but also just the barrage of people online. And, you know, it's not all negativity, certainly, but I mean, you are like getting a lot of feedback from a lot of people, and that can be a lot for people. I think that can be a big burden, and it took me a long time to get used to as well. When the channel blew up and I had an influx of comments, that was really tough for me to really take in. Lucas Hamilton, $5 super chat. Do you think the title kind of hinders the Fiend at this point? It feels like it kind of limits what they can do with him. I don't think it hinders him, but I don't think he needs it. And like, that's kind of, it's like, that's such a shit thing to say, because like, people go into wrestling and they have dreams and aspirations of becoming champion. But like, imagine being in a gimmick where where you're told you don't need the belt. I mean, granted, I think this whole character is of Bray's own design, so I think he knew what he was getting into. I think, like, if you're going to make Bray the champion, you have to go, you know, completely whole hog and make him, like, this dark, evil specter that, like, dominates the company. Like, that's what they had to do with him. They've never done that with him as champion. And that's what's so frustrating about it, is they'll make him the champion, but nothing ever happens. Like, nothing's different about it. Oh, he got a custom belt that he had for 2 weeks, and they were selling for $6,000 a pop. You know, and then, oh, I'm not the champion anymore. Like, what the fuck was that? Let's give it to Goldberg in Saudi Arabia. Fuck that. You know, like, it was such a weird thing, like, to make Bray champion, and it's never felt right, and it's never lasted very long. So, I I think it's almost better for him to be kind of like The Undertaker in a way, where it's like he's in storylines that are kind of like how I said it in my Warrior review recently. Make him, like, separate but equal to the main event. Maybe don't give him the championship all the time, but like he can be important without that. Adam, $5 super chat. Would you do a video on TNA and Dixie and the Hogan years? Yeah, one day I will. That's a lot. That's a lot of content. I've kind of covered some of it in chunks over the years, like Aces and Eights, like talking about what I did. Oh, the Bully Ray, specifically the Bully Ray Brooke Hogan angle. Like, there's more to do with that for sure. So one day I'll do that. Like, in some far off distant thing. Like, I got a lot of other TNA stuff I want to cover beforehand, like Jeff Jarrett's Reign of Terror, like the Monday Night Wars 2.0. So I think that, have some fun with it, but like, that's definitely in somewhere in the future, the deep, deep future. Gabe Has Sports wants to know, what do I think of a WCW One Night Stand? Who are you going to get? Who are you going to get for a WCW One Night Stand in 2020 who's still like in shape to compete? You can't do that now. If you were going to do that, your best time for doing that was like 15 years ago, like, or more. Like, I'd say 18 or 19 years ago, if I'm being honest. Because all the biggest stars, any of the stars down at WCW are aged out and probably can't perform at the level they would need to for a pay-per-view. So it'd be fun. I think, but the ship has long sailed on a WCW tribute show, and Lord knows they buried WCW enough. It'd be no point in trying to glorify WCW. It would just go against everything that they've done in the last 25 years in terms of how they have, projected WCW. Alex Wright and Goldberg. That's it. 2-hour Iron Man match. Alex Wright and Goldberg, and get Disco. Get Glenn Gilberti because he still works occasionally. Get him there. And AJ Styles wasn't in the last episode. Let's see here. We're going to wrap this up in a few minutes. I'll just take a few more questions here. Let's put Steamboat back out there. Fuck. Yeah, Steamboat, who was good in like 06, and then like, no, not 06. That's too early. 09? It was 09 when he came back, right. RVD, who wouldn't even count as WCW unless you called him by his jobber name in WCW. Sean Stasiak, he's still in shape. I follow him on Instagram. He's got an alter ego. What is it? Oh God, I can't remember what it's called now. But like, if anyone follows Sean Stasiak on Instagram, he's got this like alter ego where he wears a mask, like Mimic or Mystic or something. Flamethrower Fluff Salisbury, good name. $5 super chat. If they're gonna have taglines, they should definitely bring back the Raw is War logo and look. I mean, yeah, do some more old school Raws. Like. Do some of that stuff. Bring back the old aesthetic. I mean, it's kind of impossible to jive that with, like, their all LED aesthetic. But that's kind of... I don't know. Did I AOP is going to AEW? I did not AOP is going to AEW. Swinger is still active. He's more of an... I associate Johnny Swinger with more of an ECW guy than I do a WCW guy, if I'm being honest. And Buff Bagwell, like, oh God, he's kind of sad to look at now, honestly. An old school Smackdown would be fun. I don't know. God, this has been a fun stuff. I'm glad, I'm just glad that this like live stream thing now, this newfangled thing that I drug my heels on so much to get away to eventually adapt to. I'm glad it works. Because it's like, send us your information so you stream live. Like, can we send something like preemptively? Like, can I be on standby before I go live? This is all brand new territory to me. Yeah, but this has been fun. Thank you all so much for being here for the live chat and everything. We had something like 550 viewers at the top at one point. Live streams with video games will hopefully come back in the near future. If you have not watched my Tracy Williams interview, which I put out this morning, please check that out. I interviewed Tracy about the ROH Pure Championship Tournament, which starts up this weekend. Check your local listings for that, ROHWrestling.com. As far as if ROH is coming back for more tapings, yes, they're coming back for more tapings. No, I don't know if I'm part of them yet. Because right now they're kind of keeping it very specific with certain people, and I wasn't needed on the last taping for in the bubble and everything. So I'd like to appear at the next set of tapings. I just don't know if they'll use me or if they need me for that, because it's a very tight thing, the bubbles. Like, you're isolated in your own room for days as you're tested, and they wait for the test results, and then once you're negative, then you go and do the thing, like on a Friday and a Saturday, and it's like 1 match per hour. It's a very elaborate setup through the Maryland, health commission and everything, or the I forget, the health authority, or like the boxing and wrestling commission there. It's very meticulous. And so I told Tracy when we were off the air after the interview, I'd like to do the bubble, next month. And he goes, be careful what you wish for, because like, you are stuck in your hotel room for several days. And I know people are prepared for this, because like Ian Riccaboni and he and a bunch of other people brought their PS4s and like other stuff. I'm gonna bring all my work with me. You might do it. I'll let you know if I'm doing it, but it's and I might even do like a video diary of the bubble experience, but who really knows. But yeah, check out ROH this weekend for the beginning of the Pure Tournament. Check out my interview with Tracy Williams. This week's classic review was Spring Stampede 94. Please check that one out. For the next review, I was super coy about it at the end of the last review, because I didn't really know what it was called, because I'm an idiot. But I looked at it, I figured it out. The next classic review is going to be All Japan Women's Pro Wrestling Dream Rush 92. So set your watches to that for not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after. Next Wednesday, however, the reason I'm doing All Japan Women's Wrestling is to get the bad taste out of my mouth from next week's long form, which is going to be WEW Women's Extreme Wrestling Part 2. I'm looking at more DVDs, and I'm going to hate myself. I already hate myself for having watched it again. And now I'm going to pass all that on to you. But in order to get to AJW, first you have to watch WEW. You can't get your pudding if you don't have any meat. So that's what's on tap for the next couple of weeks. I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed dealing with that stuff, the good and the bad. So that's all I got for this week, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. We'll come back and do this again next Friday night for the Smackdown review. And that's all I got to say. I'm out of things to say, folks. So until then, I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.